All right, welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely. Always ready to dig into something interesting.
And we've got a really fascinating one today. It's the Brian Thompson case.
Ah, yeah, the United Health Group CEO.
That's the one. Sadly, an assassination, and we're going to try to unpack it all. We've got a pretty diverse set of sources, too.
What do we got?
There's a YouTube news segment kind of breaking down the legal side of things. And then there's like all this online chatter, forum posts and stuff.
Always interesting to see what the public's saying.
For sure. And then, kind of to round it out, a really in-depth article from the BBC.
Nice, so we can really get the full picture.
Exactly. That's the goal here. So, you ready to connect the dots, figure out the why, the how, and the who?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Okay, so right off the bat, I gotta say, some of these details are just intriguing, to say the least.
Yeah, what's caught your eye?
Well, we've got these cryptic messages left on the bullet casings, for one.
I remember hearing about that.
And then the suspect, it's like he just vanished.
Poof. Gone.
Right. And in the middle of Manhattan, no less.
You know, what really strikes me is just how meticulously planned this whole thing was. But then it happens in such a public place.
Yeah, it's not like a dark alley or anything.
No, this is Midtown Manhattan. Outside the Hilton, no less. Early morning, Thompson's heading into an investor conference.
December 4th, 2024, if I remember correctly.
That's it. It's almost audacious. You know, you'd think someone wanting to take out a CEO would be a little more discreet.
I mean, you would think so. But that legal analyst on YouTube, he makes a pretty good point. He says the assassin, he knew Thompson's routine.
Knew where he'd be, when he'd be there.
Exactly, waited for him, and then boom, had an escape route all planned out.
And it wasn't just any escape route. This guy, he had contingencies.
Oh, what do you mean?
That BBC article, it mentions the suspect's gun actually jammed at one point during the shooting.
No way.
Yeah, but the guy, he just calmly fixes it and keeps firing. This wasn't some panicked amateur.
Wow. That's chilling.
This was someone who knew his weapons, expected resistance, and just had this incredible, I guess you could say, presence of mind to stay focused.
Yeah, disturbingly focused. So, okay, we've got a picture of his methods, but who was this guy?
Well, the descriptions, they're pretty vague. Black face mask, a light brown, or maybe cream-colored jacket.
And in that surveillance footage, he's always masked.
Like he studied how to avoid being identified.
Right. Except there's this one interesting detail from the BBC article. Apparently, there's this hostel receptionist who says the suspect, he actually lowered his mask for a second.
Oh, why would he do that?
To take a photo with her. She described it as like a flirtatious moment.
Huh, that is weird. You'd think a professional hitman would be more careful about showing his face.
It's a head scratcher, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about the escape. It sounds like something out of a movie, honestly.
Yeah, tell me about it. Flees on foot, then uses an e-bike to disappear into Central Park.
You know, it's interesting he chose an e-bike. They're pretty quiet, super maneuverable, perfect for navigating those crowded streets, weaving through the park paths.
Yeah, sounds like he knew the city pretty well.
Planned a route to minimize his chances of getting caught. And I'm kind of glad those rumors about him using a city bike were debunked.
Oh yeah, that was going around online for a while.
Thankfully, not true. But he did leave something behind.
What's that?
His phone. Found in an alley.
Was that intentional, you think? Like a clue?
Or maybe just a stupid mistake.
It's a real puzzle, that's for sure. Was he trying to throw the investigators off his trail? Or did he just slip up careless for a moment?
Who knows? But it definitely adds another layer to this whole thing.
Yeah, it's already a pretty complex case.
Okay, but the phone, that's not even the weirdest part.
Oh, right, there's more.
Way more. The bullet casings?
Oh, yeah, with those messages.
Uh-huh. Deny, defend, depose.
3 words, just like that, etched right onto each one. Like a calling card.
It's creepy. But what does it mean? What was he trying to say?
Well, I think the connection to the insurance industry, it's pretty clear, right?
Yeah, those 3Ds, they're like practically a motto for some insurance companies, at least according to what people say.
It's more than just talk. There's actually this book, Delay, Deny, Defend, all about those tactics, how they use them, how they hurt patients.
So you think our suspect maybe read this book?
It's possible, right? Maybe he got fired up about it, decided to, I don't know, make a statement or something.
So it wasn't just about killing Brian Thompson. It was about sending a message to the whole system.
Could be. I mean, think about it. This was the CEO of the biggest health insurer in the country. That's a lot of power, but also probably a lot of people who aren't too happy with him.
People struggling to pay for health care, fighting to get the treatments they need, they probably feel pretty powerless against those big corporations.
Exactly. So if you've got someone who's bought into this whole deny, defend, oppose philosophy, they could see Thompson as the face of the enemy.
Like he embodies everything that's wrong with the system.
And then that rage just boils over.
But those 3Ds, they also represent some pretty awful tactics. Like delay, that's all about burying people in paperwork, hoping they'll give up.
Yep, just make it so exhausting they'll drop it. And then there's deny, flat out refusing to pay, even when it's legitimate.
Finding any excuse they can.
And then, of course, depose, basically using the legal system to intimidate patients, drag things out so they run out of money for lawyers. It's a system designed to wear you down.
It's no wonder people feel like the game is rigged. But do you think those messages could have, like, another meaning? Not just the insurance thing?
I mean, it's always good to consider other possibilities. Maybe the D's stand for something else entirely. Could be people, 3 enemies Thompson made somewhere along the line.
Or maybe specific policies he pushed through? Decisions that hurt our suspect directly? His wife did say he'd gotten threats before.
Right, and there was that weird incident at his house back in 2018.
Though nothing ever came of that, from what I remember.
Still, those threats definitely add another layer to this whole thing. Was this, like, a long-time vendetta? Or just this general anger at the system?
We need to figure out more about Brian Thompson himself, I guess.
Yeah, his role in the industry, what kind of enemies he might have made.
Okay, so he joined United Health in 2004, worked his way up, became CEO in 2021, and while he was in charge of the company, they were making record profits.
But that was also when healthcare costs were going through the roof.
Yeah, lots of people struggling to even afford the basics.
So there's definitely potential for conflict there. I mean, Thompson was the one making those decisions, setting policies that impacted millions of lives.
Did he put profits over patients? Did he make cuts that actually hurt people? These are questions we need answers to.
And then there's that detail about the suspect, the one about him possibly hanging around the Frederick Douglass housing project before the attack.
Yeah, that stood out to me too. What was he doing there?
Well, those are public housing, right? Often home to folks who really depend on government health care.
So if our suspect had some connection to that community, saw firsthand what those folks go through, that could explain a lot.
Yeah, their struggles with getting care, affording it, dealing with all the red tape. It could definitely fuel that rage towards Thompson, towards everything he represented.
It's like those 3Ds on the casings become a symbol of something bigger. Not just insurance tactics, but the whole messed up system.
The inequalities, the way certain communities get hit the hardest by high costs, lack of access, the whole bureaucratic nightmare.
It's scary to think about, but could this whole thing be a sign of something even worse?
Like, what do you mean?
This level of anger, this frustration with healthcare, what if it's reached a boiling point? Could this spark more attacks?
Like copycat stuff. Other people targeting symbols of the industry.
It's a chilling thought, but it's a possibility we can't ignore.
We need to address these problems, these inequalities, or things could get really bad.
Absolutely. But for now, the priority is catching this. Oh yeah, they're going all out, analyzing surveillance footage, DNA, talking to witnesses, trying to trace his movements before and after the hit.
And figuring out if he had help. I mean, this level of planning, it makes you wonder if he was working alone. Maybe he had some professional training even.
It's a lot to unpack, that's for sure. I mean, it's crazy, right? Someone pulls this off in Manhattan.
It's one thing to plan it, but to actually do it. In a city like this, it's almost unbelievable.
With all the cameras, the people everywhere.
Yeah, you really got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And remember those descriptions? Black face mask, that light brown jacket.
Yeah, pretty generic.
Exactly. Perfect for blending in.
Especially in New York.
It's like he was made to disappear. And then you throw in that whole hostile thing.
Oh, with the receptionist.
Getting his picture taken without the mask. It's almost like he wanted to be noticed.
Yeah, like he was playing a game with the cops.
Or maybe. Maybe it's deeper than that. Could it be a subconscious thing?
Yeah.
Like wanting to get caught.
Interesting. But regardless, he definitely wanted to make a statement.
Oh, absolutely.
Those messages, the target, the whole public spectacle of it.
He wasn't just trying to kill Brian Thompson. He wanted to send a message.
A message about?
The system, right. Healthcare in this country. The anger, the frustration.
And like we've been talking about, there are so many layers to that. People can't afford basic care, can't get the treatments they need.
It feels like the whole system is working against them.
And then you add in the possibility of personal grudges, people who had it out for Thompson specifically.
It all gets mixed up in this This feeling of injustice, like something has to change.
But we got to be careful too, right? Not jump to conclusions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Remember all those rumors about the city biker?
Totally false.
So we have to stick to the facts, to what the investigators are actually finding.
And avoid all the speculation, the hype.
So what happens now? The manhunt's still going on.
Right. But even if they catch him, it feels like this is bigger than... It's not going away.
This assassination, as awful as it was, maybe it's a wake-up call.
A chance to actually make some changes.
We need to have those tough conversations, even if they're uncomfortable.
Because if we don't, who knows what'll happen?
More violence, more people getting hurt.
It's a possibility. Look, Brian Thompson, he was a CEO, a powerful guy, but he was also a person.
With a family, friends.
People who cared about him, who are hurting right now. We can't forget that.
And we can't forget those who are struggling every day just to get basic health care.
This case, it highlights those struggles, puts them in the spotlight.
And maybe, just maybe, that can lead to something good.
To a better system. One that actually works for everyone.
That's the hope anyway. But it's going to take all of us working together, pushing for change.
Speaking up, demanding better.
Well, we started this deep dive looking for answers, but it feels like we've ended up with more questions than ever.
That's how it goes sometimes.
But hopefully it sparks something in our listener.
A desire to learn more, to get involved, to make a difference.
Thanks for joining us on this one, folks.
It was a tough one, but an important one.
Keep those conversations going. Keep asking those hard questions.
And as always, stay informed, stay engaged. That's how we make things better.